Everyone knows Barron Trump as the youngest son of Donald and Melania Trump, the boy who grew up in the world's most powerful residence. But once the Trumps left the White House in January 2021, Barron seemed to vanish almost completely from the public stage. Unlike his siblings who continued making headlines in politics, business, and society, Barron retreated into near total silence. The image the world now holds of him is striking: a towering young man, already over 6'7", who rarely speaks in public and is seen only in fleeting photographs. He is no longer the sleepy boy of Inauguration Day 2017, but neither has he become a public figure in his own right. Instead, he remains a presence defined by mystery, an air surrounded by secrecy. This story seeks to open those heavy gates once more, not to invade, but to understand. What has life truly been like for Barron after leaving the spotlight of Washington? How does he navigate adolescence and early adulthood, when the world expects him to carry a dynasty's legacy, even as his mother works tirelessly to shield him from it? Beyond the walls of power lies a different reality, and it is that hidden reality we are about to uncover. Before we dive into this captivating story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you won't miss any of our exclusive stories about power, wealth, and the hidden truths behind the world's most talked about figures. On January 20th, 2021, as the Trump presidency officially ended, the world's cameras were fixed on Donald Trump and the political storm that surrounded him. Yet for Barron, then only 14 years old, that day marked something far more personal: the end of a childhood lived inside the world's most watched residence. At an age when most teenagers struggle simply with school friends and self-discovery, Barron faced a transition unlike any other, leaving behind the White House, a place that had shaped his formative years. Melania Trump, ever the protective mother, made a decisive choice. Instead of lingering in New York or Washington, she took her son back to Florida, to the gilded estate of Mar-a-Lago. There she carefully built what she often referred to as a safe circle, a buffer against the relentless curiosity of the press and the noise of politics. For her, Barron's emotional stability came before public appearances, before duties, before everything. Mar-a-Lago, with its vast gardens and secluded corridors, became more than just a residence. It became a fortress of privacy, a sanctuary where Barron could step away from the spotlight and experience something resembling a normal adolescence. To the outside world, he vanished. To Melania, he finally had room to breathe. After leaving Washington, Barron Trump's life took on a strange duality. He now resided at Mar-a-Lago, a palatial resort lined with marble halls, golden chandeliers, and sweeping ocean views. On the surface, it was the picture of luxury, yet for Barron it became something closer to a fortress. The estate was guarded at all hours, security teams ensuring that the teenage son of a former president remained beyond the reach of curious lenses. Public appearances vanished almost overnight. Unlike his older siblings who thrived on cameras and crowds, Barron seemed to disappear into silence. Rarely was he photographed, and when images did surface, they were fleeting. Usually a glimpse of his tall frame beside Melania walking quietly, never speaking to reporters. This calculated distance was not an accident. It was Melania's design, a mother's determination to shield her child from a world that feeds on exposure. Thus, Barron's adolescence unfolded in paradox. He lived amid gilded halls, fine dining, and endless acres of manicured lawns. Yet he was isolated from the very stage his family dominated. To many, he became more myth than reality, a shadowy presence seen only in passing, always at his mother's side and never truly within reach. For Barron Trump, education has always been treated not as a stage for publicity, but as a shield for privacy. During Donald Trump's presidency, he attended St. Andrew's Episcopal School in Maryland, a place chosen carefully by Melania for its reputation and discreet environment. While the world's cameras hovered over Washington, the school became a sanctuary, a space where Barron could grow without the constant echo of politics. After leaving the White House, the Trumps relocated to Florida, and with that move came another shift in Barron's schooling. He enrolled at a private institution near Palm Beach again, under Melania's close supervision. Every detail, from security protocols to the confidentiality of teachers, was personally overseen by her. For Melania, education was not just about academics. It was about building a protective cocoon where her son could remain a boy first, not a public figure. Today, Barron has stepped into young adulthood as a student at New York University, NYU. Unlike his older siblings who balanced business ventures, political campaigns, and media appearances, Barron's academic path remains intentionally quiet, far from the Trump spotlight. It is perhaps the clearest reflection of Melania's vision that her son should be educated with dignity, independence, and freedom from the relentless pull of politics. Away from cameras and headlines, Barron Trump's true world is built on quiet passions. During his years in Maryland, he joined a local soccer team, finding joy not under the roar of political rallies, but on the green field chasing the ball with teammates who treated him as just another boy. The sport became a rare glimpse into his ordinary side, a reminder that beneath the Trump name was a teenager who loved the game. Yet Barron's deepest interests seemed to lie not in crowds but in solitude. Technology became his constant companion, his laptop the gateway to programming, gaming, and private projects that few outsiders knew about. While his siblings mingled with celebrities and business leaders, Barron often preferred the glow of his screen, diving into digital worlds where he had full control and no one judged him by his last name. This private sanctuary of soccer fields and computer codes painted the portrait of a boy different from the dynasty he was born into. Social interactions remained limited, carefully managed under Melania's watch, but his inner world grew rich with curiosity and independence. In that hidden space, Barron was not a Trump heir or a political symbol. He was simply himself, quietly shaping passions that may one day define the man he will become. Since leaving the White House, Barron Trump has almost entirely vanished from public view, becoming perhaps the most elusive member of one of the world's most scrutinized families. Unlike his siblings who regularly appear in interviews, political events, and media campaigns, Barron's presence is carefully curated, limited to a handful of rare moments. When he does appear walking beside Melania at Mar-a-Lago or accompanying Donald at private gatherings, his towering height, now nearly 2 meters, instantly draws attention. Even in these fleeting glimpses, his stature commands notice, yet the boy behind the frame remains silent. There are no statements, no interviews, no public events with Barron taking center stage. Each appearance is brief, almost incidental, yet it sparks waves of speculation and curiosity. Fans and observers dissect every photograph, every gesture, seeking clues about the teenager's personality, interests, or potential future path. This intentional absence has paradoxically amplified his fame. The less the public sees, the more captivated they become. In a world obsessed with visibility, Barron's invisibility is a rare form of power, quiet, enigmatic, and endlessly fascinating. Barron Trump's relationship with his father, Donald Trump, is unlike the dynamic seen with his older siblings. In speeches, interviews, and public statements, Donald rarely mentions Barron, a stark contrast to the frequent praise he showers on Ivanka, Don Jr., and Eric. When he does speak about his youngest son, it is usually to highlight Barron's remarkable height or his intelligence, small glimpses that hint at pride without exposing personal details. This distance is partly practical. Donald's life is consumed by politics, business ventures, and global media attention, leaving little time for day-to-day interactions. In contrast, Melania remains Barron's constant presence, managing his schedule, schooling, and daily routines, providing the guidance and protection that allow him to grow with stability. As a result, Barron often appears as the outside observer of the Trump family, a quiet figure who exists in the periphery, shielded from the spectacle and chaos that have defined the lives of his siblings. The subtlety of this father-son relationship contributes to Barron's aura of mystery. While the world speculates about how he will follow or diverge from the family path, the restrained visibility of his interactions with Donald reinforces the sense that he is charting a private, carefully guarded course of his own. If Donald Trump represents the public face of the family, Melania Trump has always been the guardian of Barron's private world. From the earliest days of his life, she acted as an unwavering gatekeeper, ensuring that the youngest Trump child remained shielded from the relentless gaze of media and public scrutiny. Her protective instinct extended far beyond the White House years, continuing long after the family left Washington, creating a consistent environment where Barron could grow without intrusion. Melania's presence is almost constant in Barron's life. Whether attending events, stepping out for casual errands, or navigating the vast estate of Mar-a-Lago, she is there by his side, a steady anchor in a world filled with potential exposure. Every public glimpse of Barron is mediated by her careful attention, shaping the image of a boy who moves with quiet composure, often observed only in silhouette beside his mother. This absolute protection has had a profound impact on Barron's personality. The discretion and independence he displays are not accidental. They are cultivated by a mother determined to let her son experience life on his own terms, away from spectacle and judgment. In essence, Melania's devotion has transformed Barron into a figure defined by mystery, a young man whose quiet presence contrasts sharply with the flamboyant legacy of the Trump dynasty. Within the Trump family, Barron occupies a world apart from his older siblings. Don Jr., Eric, and Ivanka have long been immersed in the public eye, blending politics, business, and media with remarkable visibility. Tiffany, while somewhat less politically involved, still maintains a semi-public presence as a socialite and influencer. In contrast, Barron has chosen or perhaps been carefully guided to remain on the periphery, completely detached from the family's professional and political ventures. The age difference plays a significant role in this separation. Barron grew up during his father's presidency, years after his siblings had already established themselves as public figures. This gap created a sense of him living in a different generation of the Trump dynasty, one shielded from the glare that defined his older brothers and sisters' formative years. While the others navigated interviews, campaigns, and media appearances, Barron's world revolved around school technology and quiet moments at home. This distinct upbringing has also strengthened his bond with Melania. Unlike the other children who spent significant time under Donald's guidance, or with Ivana in earlier years, Barron's primary caregiver has been his mother. Her close presence, protection, and guidance have shaped not only his privacy, but also his personality, cultivating a thoughtful, introspective young man who stands quietly apart from the high-profile lives of his siblings. Barron Trump's near invisibility has paradoxically made him a magnet for speculation and rumor. Because he rarely appears in public, journalists, social media users, and fans alike have filled the silence with stories about his personality, habits, and even potential future in politics. Every photograph, often fleeting glimpses beside Melania or Donald, becomes fodder for analysis, with commentators dissecting posture, expressions, and fashion choices for clues to the young man's character. Height has become one of the most viral aspects of Barron's image. Towering nearly 2 meters, he has inspired countless memes and jokes on platforms like Twitter, portraying him as everything from a mysterious giant to the silent prince of the Trump family. Even playful exaggerations of his size only deepen public fascination, turning the simple fact of growing tall into a symbol of his enigmatic presence. This curiosity is amplified by the family's strict protection of his privacy. The intentional absence of interviews or public statements creates a vacuum, and the human mind naturally fills it with narratives. Barron's silence, carefully maintained by Melania and the family, paradoxically increases his fame, making him one of the most talked about yet rarely seen members of the Trump dynasty. In a media landscape that thrives on exposure, the boy who avoids it entirely becomes endlessly compelling. One of the most intriguing questions about Barron Trump is whether he will step into the legacy of his family or chart his own path. The Trump name carries immense weight. Donald's political career, business empire, and the global spotlight cast a long shadow over all his children. Some media outlets and fans speculate that Barron might become the next generation of the dynasty, poised to enter politics, expand business ventures, or uphold the family brand in some form. Every rare glimpse of him fuels these theories as observers try to decipher ambition behind the quiet demeanor. Yet the signs suggest a different story. Barron's reserved nature, cultivated under Melania's protective guidance, indicates a preference for independence and privacy. His interests in technology, sports, and personal projects point to a young man more inclined to explore his own passions than follow predetermined family roles. The contrast with his siblings, who are deeply embedded in public life, underscores that Barron's journey may be intentionally distinct. Ultimately, Barron embodies a delicate balance between family legacy and personal freedom. The world watches, curious whether he will embrace the dynasty or remain in the shadows, living a life defined on his own terms. His choices could redefine what it means to grow up a Trump, showing that even in a family known for exposure, in spectacle, privacy, and self-determination can prevail. Barron Trump has now entered a new chapter of life as a student at New York University, stepping into the bustling, dynamic environment of one of America's most prestigious institutions. NYU offers a vast array of opportunities, business, technology, media, and countless other fields that could shape his future. But for Barron, this world remains largely private. Unlike many of his peers, there are no paparazzi snapshots, no public social media accounts, and almost no official photographs capturing daily life. His existence in the city is discreet, carefully shielded from the relentless curiosity of the media and public. Melania continues to play a central role in maintaining this privacy. Even as Barron navigates college life and the potential independence it brings, she ensures that boundaries remain firm, protecting him from exposure while allowing him to explore his interests and develop skills on his own terms. This careful balance between freedom and protection has allowed Barron to experience the university years with a sense of normalcy unusual for a Trump cultivating personal growth without the interference of public scrutiny. In this environment, Barron remains the quiet observer, learning, experimenting, and engaging with the world around him, but always on his own terms. The aura of mystery persists, amplified by every moment of absence, leaving the public to wonder what ambitions, talents, and paths he may ultimately choose. Though Barron Trump lives a life of extraordinary privacy, there is no doubt that it is also a life of luxury. From a young age, he has been surrounded by high-end fashion, exclusive accessories, and state-of-the-art technology, creating a world that is both privileged and curated. His environment reflects the family's wealth and status. Mar-a-Lago in Florida and Trump Tower in Manhattan serve not only as homes, but as carefully controlled sanctuaries where Barron can live comfortably and safely. Despite the opulence, Barron's life is far from public spectacle. There are no social media posts flaunting his possessions, no tabloids capturing extravagant moments, and no public events showcasing wealth. Every detail of his lifestyle is carefully managed, maintaining discretion while still offering all the advantages of a privileged upbringing. This careful balance between abundance and privacy has allowed Barron to enjoy the benefits of his family's fortune without succumbing to the pitfalls of exposure or public scrutiny. In essence, his life represents a rare form of elite childhood, surrounded by privilege yet shielded from the relentless attention and commentary that typically accompany wealth and fame. Barron's luxurious world exists quietly behind closed doors, a space where normalcy, safety, and comfort coexist with affluence, reinforcing the mystery that defines him in the public imagination. Barron Trump occupies a unique place in the public imagination. He is the most mysterious member of one of America's most famous families. Unlike his siblings, who thrive in the spotlight, Barron has been carefully shielded from media exposure, creating a vacuum that the public instinctively tries to fill. Every rare appearance, whether beside Melania at Mar-a-Lago, walking through Trump Tower, or attending an official event, becomes a focal point for speculation, curiosity, and commentary. This aura of secrecy has fueled countless memes, social media debates, and even conspiracy theories. People speculate endlessly about his personality, interests, and potential future, often imagining narratives that have little or no basis in reality. The very absence of information has amplified the allure, turning Barron into a symbol of intrigue and mystique. In a media age obsessed with transparency, exposure, and celebrity, his ability to remain virtually invisible makes him a paradoxical icon. The quieter he is, the more the world wants to know. Barron's public fascination illustrates a broader truth about modern celebrity. Sometimes absence is more compelling than presence. He embodies the human desire to uncover the unknown, to create stories from shadows, and to marvel at the unseen. In this way, Barron Trump has achieved a kind of fame entirely different from his family, one defined not by appearances, statements, or accomplishments, but by mystery itself. In the end, Barron Trump's life after the White House has been defined not by headlines, speeches, or public appearances, but by silence and careful discretion. Shielded and guided by Melania, he has grown up in an environment where privacy is a priority, allowing him to experience childhood and adolescence without the pressures that have shaped his siblings' lives. His every step from school choices to social interactions is protected, creating a rare space where a young man of extraordinary privilege can develop away from public scrutiny. The world may continue to speculate, circulate rumors, and construct images of the boy behind the headlines, yet Barron himself is quietly authoring his own story. His narrative is told not in interviews or social media posts, but through the deliberate absence that fuels curiosity and fascination. This life of silence carries its own weight, shaping a personality marked by independence, thoughtfulness, and discretion. Ultimately, Barron embodies a paradox in the age of exposure. The quieter he remains, the more captivating he becomes. The lingering question remains open: will he one day step into the spotlight as a public figure, embracing the legacy of his family, or will he continue to move through life on his own terms, preserving the mystery that has defined him? For now, the world watches fascinated as Barron Trump quietly writes a life of his own choosing.